We work hard as physicians to take care of the health and well-being of our patients. But when it comes to our money, do we have the same condition of care? Probably not. Let's change that together. Welcome to the Financial Freedom for Physicians podcast, where we'll fight and advocate for your financial literacy. As always, I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Liu. Thanks for being here. Let's jump into the show. Hey guys, I want to welcome you guys to the Financial Freedom for Physicians podcast. We've got a great episode this week. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button as well as the notifications bell, and be sure to like, comment, and share if you like this episode. And we'll get into this week's sponsor and show. Today's episode is sponsored by Dr. Heather Fork of Doctors Crossing. Dr. Heather Fork is a retired dermatologist based out of Austin, Texas, and she is a career coach and strategist and the founder of the Doctors Crossing. She's come out with this new course called LinkedIn Networking for Physicians. The significance of this course is that in today's hyper-competitive, hyper-dynamic, ever-changing economy, success is all about information, speed, access, networks, and execution speed. So part of your success in today's economy relies on a strong network of collaborators, partners, and acquaintances who can help you accomplish your goals a lot faster and more efficiently. So if you're operating under the mantra of doing it alone or doing it all by yourself, there are better, faster, easier, and more efficient ways to get things done today. You can save a lot of time, energy, and money by learning how to leverage social media to network online. Dr. Heather Fork's course is a brand new course designed to teach you step-by-step how to efficiently network using online LinkedIn social media networking tools, tactics, and strategies. She's been a pioneer in the field of physician counseling, physician burnout, career transitions, and physician coaching. Her course is a 6-module course with 22 videos where you can learn at your own pace, on demand, and teach you how to strategically use LinkedIn to your advantage. It also has a bonus PDF guide, how to rock your informational interviews. So if you're interested, you can check out the course in the link in the show notes below. Also, as a special bonus, you can also check out Dr. Fork's Carpe Diem resume kit that when purchased with the LinkedIn course, you get a 23% discount. Or if you want to purchase separately, you can click on the link in the show notes below as well. So thanks for listening, and on to the show. So welcome everybody to this week's episode of the Financial Freedom for Physicians podcast. Me and my team want to welcome you to a happy new year. And as always, we always tout 4 types of freedom: financial, emotional, location, and time freedom. And so it's my mission to bring guests that are doing cutting edge, doing things out of the box, and just bringing your awareness to the types of different options, educational information, products available. So today we have Dr. Mike Woo-Ming. He's got a really interesting story. He's a digital marketer. He's a digital entrepreneur. He's a physician entrepreneur, and he's the founder of BootStrap MD. So welcome, Mike.
Chris, thanks. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I know. I got my career started on your podcast and a bunch of other physician podcasts, and now my podcast was launched a year ago. It's grown so much, and I'm happy to have people that help me and to return the favor. So tell us all about your story and how you got started.
Oh, well, first, that's awesome that your journey has grown, and kudos to you. I remember seeing your name on Amazon, and then you see, with your books, and then seeing it on Facebook. So I'm really happy that you've really grown. My story is pretty interesting. I'm a lot older than probably most of your audience. I started with entrepreneurship in medical school, and I started. Actually, in residency. I started in medical school just learning about computers and medicine, and I started I wouldn't call it a business, but I started to learn about the web. So this is back in the 90s, mid 90s, when there wasn't a lot out there. And I wanted to study for the boards. And there's a lot of expensive USMLE software out there. And I created a page where I would like review different educational software. And I don't really call it a business, but I was able to get a lot of free software just because I had a web page, and then I was able to review the software, and that's actually how I got started in kind of entrepreneurship. Although money wasn't being transacted, I saw the power of just having a voice, and there was something to this web where I could, in my pajamas, talk about my message, about what I was interested in, and how I could help others. And then in residency, I started a business that was based on, how to study for the USMLE. I had a product on that. I had a product on how to get into the residency of your choice. So I started this business with my wife, where we would review like different personal statements from people. And my wife had a librarian background, so and she was really good in grammar and in cleaning all that stuff up. And we started a business helping doctors, and a lot of our business was from um, uh, non-US doctors, so foreign medical graduates who wanted to come to the United States and get into the residency. So, but they didn't have the greatest command of English, and we helped them to do that. So that was kind of my first businesses that I started back in the 90s. And then entrepreneurship just continued to go from there. Um, I Once I graduated residency, I went into primary care, and I was family medicine, went to the Mayo Clinic for my training. But I've always been entrepreneurial, doing something on the side, whether it be doing some writing, medical writing, writing questions for board reviews. And I remember getting like my first check as a primary care physician, and I had a guaranteed salary. And what I learned from that is I like to joke is you're guaranteed to get the same salary no matter how much more you work or how least you work. You're going to get the same amount. And I wanted to generate more revenue, and I learned about startups, and I got involved in an internet startup back in the day, and then basically started creating little online businesses, everything from medical education to developing ebooks that I wrote, and then later had hired a bunch of freelance writers to publish these books. Then eventually getting them onto Amazon, to then getting involved in consulting. And then I got involved in digital marketing, as you mentioned, and eventually came to the point where I had to decide between staying in my job, or if I wanted to grow and scale, to leave my job. And that was a pretty scary decision, but in retrospect, I'm glad that I've done that, because it really opened my opportunities to expand what I did. Eventually got into software, business software, and I sold that company. And then currently, my business right now is in medical clinics, and I own a web spa, and I own equity in several others, medical clinics, and just kind of just continuing to expand that. And I think what I love about entrepreneurship is that I'm not a fan of substituting time for money, and I know you're not a big fan of that either. And I realize that for most doctors, the only way that we make more money is we see more patients. And going to and meeting entrepreneurs around the world is, who are making many times more than what doctors are making, but they're not really working, an integral part in the business. So what they work is not based upon how much, for example, for doctors seeing patients. It's about leverage. It's about using your knowledge and then deploying that. And my thing is, one of the things that I like to be part of is just getting a little bit a piece out of a lot of different things so that it builds more multiple streams of income. That was a lot there, so I'll just end it right there.
Well, that's awesome. That's a brilliant story, and a lot of you touched on so many points. And the first point was the power of the internet. So what you were describing when you were doing software reviews and then getting free products, that's almost a sort of a system of barter. That you can translate into sponsorships or affiliate marketing. So a lot of doctors, they think, oh, they miss the internet or they miss social media. What do you think? Do you think that it's too late for doctors who are interested in becoming physician entrepreneurs that they miss the internet? And what is the power of the internet?
Yeah, I, despite COVID, I like to attend conferences, and I don't attend a lot of medical conferences. I do attend a lot of entrepreneur conferences, business conferences,
Mhm.
and most of the time, I'm usually like the only doctor, or maybe there's a handful of like, you know, medical, and even then, it mostly like would be chiropractors or perhaps like a nurse practitioner or something like that. There's not a lot
Uh-huh.
in there, and I think if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you first need to hang around more entrepreneurs because there's a different way of thinking. It's like if you want to be the best surgeon, you want to be shadow like the best surgeons, right, in the hospital.
Mhm.
But if you want to be, financially successful, hang around people who are much more financially successful than you are.
Mhm.
And that's what I think that there is a lot of opportunity, out there. It's just you have to spend the time devoted to doing just that. And I think it first starts by, networking, whether it's joining, going to different entrepreneurship groups, maybe things like EO or Vistage locally you could start doing, or even just starting, digitally, going on a Facebook group and just networking that way. I mean, that's how we've kind of connected through online. But there's great opportunity. The thing is, you need to have your eyes and your ears open for it when it comes.
Yeah. Yeah, you said it so correctly. And then I remember when I was first starting out, I was like just emailing and just like on LinkedIn and just messaging people, their ideas and trading ideas and sharing posts and getting on podcasts. And the other thing you mentioned is this idea of time versus trading your time for your money, and what you're describing is scalability. So, um, d- as an entrepreneur, to or educate the audience about what it means to scalable versus just like where you're describing a fixed salary and just a fixed income, and every year your income is the same.
Yeah. So, right now in medicine, most physicians are employees, right? So we're working for, a big hospital or a big group like that. And, you know, and right now there's less people owning their own practice. There's less doctors, setting up their clinic and just working for themselves. Most, and the reason why they're not successful is because they're they're the person who makes everything work, right? So if they're not the one seeing patients, if they go and take a vacation, they're not making any money unless they have a colleague who can fill in for them. And eventually, if you want to, that business will not scale, right? Because your revenue is dependent on you working.
Mhm.
The way that you know things will scale is if you start owning more clinics and you hire doctors or mid-level providers that can do the same service you can. And for many doctors, that's a very difficult thing to do. It's very scary. They don't trust people to do that. I
Yeah.
see that all the time. And that's, but the most successful like practice owners are the ones who like will take, they have a model that it works, and then they'll just replicate that, you know 50, 100 times. I did some work back in the day with a company called Massage Envy, or I worked with a company that worked with Massage Envy. And if you're not familiar with that, it's a big massage franchise. You pay, you have a membership fee, and you pay so much to get so many massages per month.
Hmm.
And if you're just the masseuse, right, you're the employee, you're just making money from that. But the ones who are really making money are the owners, right? Because that's what I learned about like scaling it, because you won't have just like one person just owning one franchise. Once they find out that it's profitable, they'll just replicate the system, right? And then there'll be 5 or 10, no, 10 of them, right? It's just like McDonald's, right? You could put McDonald's anywhere. Um, in Moscow compared to LA, it's still the same system, and they already have a model that works. Everything down to like where you position the French fries, the person working the French fries. But that's all they're doing, is you're just replicating the system. And once I understood that the business is a result of just systems at work,
Uh,
that's when it really just boggled my mind, like what the possibilities that were out there.
mm. Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned a lot of like franchising, and so what you're describing is severing the relationship between time and money. So you mentioned you wrote some books, and those books are on Audible, they're on Amazon. You can, on your bookstore, people can go. It generates recurring revenue. You're a business owner. Um, of a practice as well. So, and you also mentioned, franchisees. So, what are some other ways that physicians can leverage their time and scale their efforts without actually having to, trade their time for money?
Yeah, so I get this question asked quite a bit, and it really comes down to, if you're looking, what is your goal? So what is your financial goal? And so BootStrap MD is my consulting firm. I've got a podcast associated with that where we talk with physician entrepreneurs. And we usually have more time, or we usually have more money as a physician. We're in an occupation where we make pretty good money. We have a good net worth. And if you're someone who has more money than time,
Hmm.
you know, I focus on different ways of creating wealth. And I think for me, entrepreneurship is the best way. Um, but if you don't have the time to be an entrepreneur, because I don't want to sugarcoat it to you, it's a lot of work. There's a lot of sacrifice you have to make as an entrepreneur. And if you have more money than time, I would look into doing, more investing, perhaps, real estate syndications, perhaps those kinds of things. But if you have more time than money,
Hmm.
I can't think of too many businesses that, you could get 10x, 100x, 1,000x,
Wow.
with your money. So I'll give you an example of one of my clients who started a physician consulting business. So he's just leveraging his knowledge.
Hmm.
And there's not a lot of upfront cost to become a consultant. Other than your own knowledge, maybe you'll take some, courses, or let's throw out the way like you're taking sometimes a certification or something like that. But in general, all you need is your knowledge and a Zoom account, which is free, or a phone, a website, which costs $20 a month, if at most, probably less, and just go out there and say, hey, I've got some knowledge that I can share. And then he was able to take this. So his business would probably cost less than $500. And now he's doing 6 figures this year. He's in line making over 100,000. In addition to his regular, work as a doctor.
Hmm.
So there's not a lot of investments that you can do, which brings that back, $500 and turning into 100 grand. If there is, let me know. I'll go into what investment that is. But that's why I love businesses, and that's why I often, when I'm talking to doctors about like what's my first business to start,
Mhm.
I always talk about like what assets you currently have now. And I know you've learned this too, with your consulting. It's
Uh-huh.
you didn't have to, it was your knowledge of your experiences, and that's, everybody is a bit different. And then if you have something that people will want, well, people will pay for, then that's a great business to get into.
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause physicians, we actually have we're multifaceted and we're multi-talented, and I tell all my clients, you had to go through so many different steps, and just for for that privilege to treat patients, but we have a variety of skills. So, um, and you mentioned some of the entrepreneurship is hard. It's not easy. Some months you'll have zero, sometimes some months you'll be negative. Some months you'll be 2x, 3x. So it's you have to be ready for that roller coaster. So what are some of the pitfalls and challenges? Let's say physician right now, the COVID era, he or she is really burnt out or just looking for alternative things. What are some of the steps that they can start to take to free up their time and emotions and where they are from their job or from their income?
I think, the first step is just like deciding that you want to start a business, if you want to be entrepreneurial. I think that that's a big decision.
Mhm.
So if you do have more time than money, then I think that's a great place to ask. Great question to ask. Do I have the time to actually do this?
Uh-huh.
And then decide what type of business do you want to do. Do you want to do a coaching or consulting business on the side? Um, there are other factors you need to be aware of too. If you're an employed physician, if you work with a big hospital, they may or may not need to know that you have a business on the side, a side hustle. Um, so first, you got to make sure that that's taken care of, because I've seen a few too many doctors who got in trouble. They started a business and then they got successful, and then guess who comes running and asking like, oh, okay, how did you start this business? Working it on the side. So then you know there's so many different factors, and I could take this conversation wherever you want, but it's dependent on like what do you want to do, like what is your, and I don't want to sound like kind of woo woo, but what is your like your mission in your life? Like what do you want to make, you want to be most known for, you know um and that doesn't necessarily, to be, you know um the end all decision of what type of business you want to be, but you want to probably be in a business where, you feel comfortable that talking about that business. um some people who like, I just want to go into businesses that are lucrative. Well, drug dealing is lucrative. But there's a lot of pitfalls into doing that. So when you're looking at the type of business, does it match with you ethically? Does it match with you legally? Is it something that you'd be proud of? And if is it aligned with like your mission about what you want to do? For me, my mission was to help 1,000 doctors, um, to help them get to where they want to be, because as you know, a lot of doctors are burnt out, a lot of doctors are frustrated, and they've lost autonomy. And for me, on business owning, entrepreneurship was my way out of that. And so I kind of want to pay it forward, and that's what we do at BootStrap MD. Um, but so it has to kind of align with what your mission is. There are other businesses that you decide. Let's say you want to get into. We talked about franchises. If franchises cost money. If you want to open a Dunkin' Donuts franchise, I think it's like 250,000. It's only in certain states you can do it. Um, and maybe that doesn't align with your what you want to be as a, let's say you're a internist doing a weight loss clinic or something. You're in weight loss and then you own a Dunkin' Donuts. It might not align. So so all of those factors you need to take into consideration. I think that whatever business that you want to do, is you have to have, first you have to have interest in it, and then you also have to look into is, are there people that you can shadow or get into, or get involved. I'm in the aesthetics industry, and there's a lot of doctors who want to start up like a Botox clinic on the side or a med spa.
Mhm.
And there every weekend there's a Botox training of some type, but they don't teach you like how to like have a successful business in there. Um, so it has to be, you know, one, you want to make sure that you like it. Two, you want to make sure that there are people who can help get you to the next level, a mentor, a consultant. And then my thing is, anything that I do, I try to have like a mentor, because I'm not so smart to figure it out on my own.
Right.
you know, almost any type of like wealth building, I'll sign up,
Yeah.
uh, I signed up for real estate. I signed up for Peter's course, and um, uh, um, Kenzie Letitia's course, other doctor in real estate, because I'm not so smart to figure it out, and I'd rather pay them the money because I have more time or more money than time
Mhm.
these days.
Right.
And then sometimes I take it just when I figure out like I'll do it, and it's like I'll find out like this isn't for me, and that's okay too. I
Yeah.
just $3,000 for this course, and I realized, nope, not for me. I'm gonna move on.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of doctors, they look at the price tag, but they don't realize it's like an investment. So you can pay $3,000 for a coach, a mentor, but it saves you, instead of stumbling around for a year, 2 years. You get to your goals faster. Within 6 months, or even you spend $3,000 and you make 30,000. So I think physicians as a whole, they don't really look at it from the long term. They just look at the price tag and they're like, oh my god, it's so and a scam and all the rip off, all this stuff. So but I know you do coaching. I know you do. I had you before the pandemic. I know you had a seminar, a yearly seminar where you brought in speakers. I know you have a course as well. So feel free to let the audience know like what type of resources they can look into and how they can get in contact with you and what sort of resources you offer.
Yeah, one of our most popular is a free web class that we do. It's like how physicians can become high paid consultants,
Mhm.
and you can just go on to bootstrapmd.com, and pop up will show, and you can sign up for an on demand web class. It talks about how to do it, and it lasts about an hour. And then like my journey into it and how I created it into a six-figure business. And then, after it, if you want to take, there's a course that we sell called Consulting MD, that you can, if that's for something if that's a path that you want to go to. That's probably my best example. As you also mentioned, I've got a podcast that is going on. We just finished our 150th episode, where we highlight um, physician entrepreneurs. You've been on our podcast, and that's also a way where you can find out more information. I also own a company called Physician Coaches, and we have a physician coaches directory. If you're looking for physician coaches, you can go to physiciancoaches.com, and we have physicians in over 12 different categories, from real estate, relationships, investing stuff. Back back in the day is we weren't really able to freely talk about kind of this stuff. Physicians who wanted to do something else was frowned upon. You know, having a quote side gig was pretty much non-existent. And so my thing is, I think, you know, it's scary to me having just one source of income. I don't know for you, Chris, but I would be pretty scared if I just had like one source of income.
Yeah.
And, you know, who would have thought that, there'd be a time where physicians could lose their job or temporarily lose their job because of a pandemic. And that's what happened.
Oh,
A lot of doctors, some lost them permanently, were laid off. And, you know, I'm just so blessed that I've got multiple streams of income to keep me going. Um, we even talked about, I was joking about that I own a little bit of real estate, and then my renter can't make rent for the last couple of months,
Uh-huh.
but my income wasn't dependent on that, right?
Right.
Because they have other sources of different income. So I think whatever you do, whether it be an entrepreneur or an investor, my challenge is for doctors to build one stream of income, an additional stream of income in 2022,
Uh-huh.
and then do whatever it takes for you to get that. And it's going to help you so much in the long run.
Was well said. And the final question is, what? How can guests in the audience get in touch with you? Your website, social media, email.
Yeah, best site is either MikeWooming.com or BootStrapMD.com.
Uh-huh.
Um, I rarely am on social media, or I try not to be on social media. You're really good at social media. I'm just like, I don't think anybody cares whether I'm eating today. But
Yeah.
those are probably the best places. And if you've got a business you're thinking about getting into, I'd be happy to chat with you about it, and to help you through it. But because I'm just a big fan of what you're doing in terms of like letting more people know about the benefits of entrepreneurship.
Uh-huh.
Um, and yeah, I think it's an exciting time, and it's never too late to get started.
Uh,
Never too late.
Yeah, well, so well said. All the pearls and wisdom will be in the show notes for the audience. And thank you so much for being on the show. And thanks for helping me jumpstart my career as a social media influencer, a thought leader. And I owe it to you, John, Maisha, Charmaine, Peter Kim, and the White Coin Investor. So thanks so much, and we look forward to future collaborations.
Awesome, Chris. Thank you.
Well, I hope you really enjoyed that fantastic episode with our special guest this week. Just remember, as a shout out to this week's sponsor, Dr. Heather Fork, MD of the Doctor's Crossing, who has come out with her new online course devoted to teaching you how to leverage social media to network online effectively for your next job, your career, or as a side income. Again, social media is very valuable in today's society. It can be used for marketing, advertising, selling, communication with your followers, growing your brand, influence, followers, as well as networking. So don't miss out. It's really important in today's age to really leverage technology, especially in the COVID age. So go to the link in the show notes below, and we'll see you back next week. I'm excited that you made it for another episode. You are truly the best. If you've been following the show for a while, you know that my passion is to bring you the education you need to find your path to financial freedom. Please come back week after week for new content, new resources, and great guests. Until then, if you haven't already, please be sure to check out the website, www.drchrislewmdphd.com, for more support. I'll see you next week.